Hello and welcome back to our weekly stream.
Hi guys.
This time we are going to talk about backend again. So tell me something new.
Hey, yeah, as always, we want to talk about Quarkus because it's best. No, to be honest, today I want to talk about Hibernate Validators. Although it's Hibernate in the name, that's mainly for historical reasons. You can use it to validate everywhere in your backend. It's especially useful for REST APIs. So you can validate what data comes in, and you can also use it in your service everywhere. So that's quite cool. So we want to have a look at it. So I've actually prepared a very small service.
Looks like it. Font is too small, buddy.
I never get used to that.
Just think 15 might be enough. Just to see a little bit more. Okay.
15?
15 might be all right.
So I hope it's better. So again, I prepared a small service here. It's basically just a new project, created it with code Quarkus.io, as always. We have nothing too special in here. We have REST Easy reactive with Jackson, we have Kotlin, and we have the Hibernate Validator library.
So for those who don't know what it is, where's the Hibernate come from? What is it?
Hibernate is a database, ORM,
okay.
object relation mapper. And yeah, you can use it in Java Enterprise. Classically, you can use it to get object into the database and from the database and so on. It's quite powerful. And they also, over time, they added some validation stuff, and it has been more generalized, and you can use it now everywhere in your application. And as a start, we want to use it in our REST API. This is a very simple API. Let's start it up first and see what it can do. I mean, the code is simple. We can get a book by ID. Basically, we just return this hard-coded data, and we return the book ID in that hard-coded data. And also, we can create a book where we just return it again. You're not supposed to see this yet. So we have started it up, so we can test the two calls. We do get book by ID. We pass in a 6 as the ID. And because I just changed the code, it's recompiling. And now you see the ID here is 6, and the rest is the hard-coded data. And here we have...
Can you increase the font?
No idea how it works here.
Control and plus?
Whoa.
That's the macOS way.
Nice.
Yeah. Jealous yet?
It could even be that this is a general shortcut also on Windows, and I just don't know about it because I'm really bad at remembering stuff like that.
No, Postman is, I think it's Electron or some cross-platform, of course, and they have it on the same thing. So, okay,
nice.
never mind.
Okay.
Back to topic.
Yeah. So we just return the same. So now we might have some bad users where they pass in like a -6, and then you get a -6. You could throw now, probably you would not find this in your database. So when you look it up. And so you would give it a 4 or so, but you could want to give a more detailed error to let them directly know, hey, you will never find something with a negative ID.
Okay.
So we can do this, and we can just add positive here. You can even say positive or 0, but a 0 ID is usually not a good idea. So we add this, and now, so it's not running yet because I did.
What's the definition of crazy?
Doing the same thing over and over again with thinking stuff might change.
Okay.
So,
Dragon just told us that the sound isn't right. Lakeview, could you confirm that the sound isn't right, please, in the chat? Thank you.
Can you suggest what's wrong instead of just a little bit weird? Yeah.
Okay.
So now you see we get some
constraint violation. Okay.
Some body here. This is actually a default mapping for this. We could also adapt. This mapping is always internally. This is an exception that is thrown, and we can map this exception with an exception mapper like we always.
Why is it German?
That's a good thing. Why is it German? Because my system language is German. Yeah, and we can change that because Quarkus has direct support for localization for error messages. So what we should need to do, we can say our Quarkus supports the locales, English US and German for Germany. And we can even specify a default by setting this. Now we have English US as a default. And when you use this, then yeah, you have localization support from Quarkus, and it works for the constraint violations.
Interesting.
Maybe a topic we can have a look at for another stream, the localization stuff. And when we do this now, must be greater than 0. But we can change this header, the accept language standard header, German, and we have it in German again. So direct support for localizations.
Nice.
That's nice.
Very nice.
So that's already a very simple thing we can check. Now we might want to do more advanced checks for our book DTO. So we could also...
Can you move your mic a little bit towards you? Let's see if we can somehow fix it. Oh, you not enough space. Okay, let's see if we can fix this. Where's it? Oh, there it go. Let's try it like this. Maybe it will be better.
Better. Okay. On the DTO, we can also just add these annotations. We could also say a title must not be blank. Author also not blank. We could say the publishing year is past or present. So we cannot have books in the or create books that are only published in the future.
Okay.
And for the price, we could say something like digits. And then we can say in front of the decimal point, we want to have like at most 10 digits. And after it, we want to have only 2 fractions too. And now we have to keep in mind one thing. These are Java annotations coming from the Java world, and we are writing Kotlin. And this annotation is now on this constructor argument, but it needs to be on the getter for it to work. So unfortunately, we need to add this here.
Why does it have to be on the getter?
Because they use the getter to check what annotations apply.
Okay.
So you can use the constructor, because in Java you usually don't have this constructor so easily.
Okay.
So they are just not used to this convenient way of doing things. So that's why. And what we also need to do, we need to specify that we want to validate it here. So we need to add this add valid. Now we start this up.
So the validation will take place after you wrote it, when you read it, right? Or
no, when it passes in here.
Oh, okay.
So what Quarkus does, it creates a method around this, which causes this method to be called. I mean, also for these annotations, it uses it because it registers a handler in Vertex that is called for this path when it's a post. And then they also pass the data and the body automatically to this with Jackson. And then they also call the validator if this annotation is there. So this is all done around this method, all generated. And if we now go here, we have our nice book. We get everything as we expect. We do something wrong, we get this error.
Okay.
If we pass in an empty string here, must not be blank, we also get all the errors. You can also configure it to stop at the first error if you want that.
Can you return null or not a title at all?
Like null. And
I guess it's supposed to be.
That's
not optional.
Yeah. So now we get an exception from Jackson.
Okay. Yeah.
Because Jackson failed to create this book DTO because we said it's not null. So if we make this here nullable, then the validation from Hibernate could kick in. Then you could say get not null. Then you would get a nice not null message. But ideally, depends on what you want. Now you would have the same validation. I restart Quarkus.
So you can stack them. You can have more.
You can have a ton of them. So if we do this, then we must not be null, must not be blank. Because both of these failed. But if you want to have like a non-optional type directly, then Jackson throws the error. And when Jackson throws the error, then you need to map the Jackson error. Both are just exceptions. These ones are mapped pretty nicely. And the Jackson ones are not so nice. They, at least in dev mode, they expose the full stack trace. But it should not be an error 500. It should actually be a 400. So this is probably a regression. This was better in the past. So look out for the bug ticket. Yeah. And let's oops. Hitting the wrong keys. What we could also do is like use a different publishing year here. So 2000, and then it must be date in the past or in the present. And the price, if we add like a third digit, then you see here it has to be 2 digits, then the a decimal point, and then 2 digits. So that's all nice, really nice. And that's how easy you can get your validations. And these built-in validations, there is a ton of them. If you go here to the Hibernate Hibernate Validator doc, then there is built-in methods, and you might not be able to see the scroll bar on the right. So you can also do stuff like assert false, assert true. So for example, if you would have a a rental car company and you have the form for the driver, and there's a flag has a valid driving license, then you could make sure it's true. Yeah, like max min validations. You can validate emails if it's a valid email format.
Ooh, do they have the regular expression they use?
Yeah, there's
because email validation
can be really tricky.
You don't.
Yeah, you don't do it yourself. And that's why this is there.
we had a one case, US at $ something, the valid or $ US, it's something around there. There's no dot in it. There's not just an @ sign in it, and it's a valid email address. I was like, never mind. Never doing email verification. So
and you can also customize it. So here it has a regex.
Okay.
So you can add an additional regular expression.
Okay, nice.
So if you want to shrink it down, limit it a bit more, so you can do that.
So this means there's only supposed to be a dot in it, no @ sign?
And that's an additional regular expression.
Oh, okay, okay.
If you want to change the matcher behind it, then that you can customize that as well.
All right.
But that's a different thing then. So if we check here, future or present, this is like what we saw. Min, max, not blank, not empty, not null, negative. There's also pattern for regexes. Size, if you want to check collection sizes. If you have an array, you can check it's not too long or too short or whatever. And then there's also currency stuff, duration, and it can work with the duration types from Java. You can check stuff like EIN. And there's also different types than ISBN. That's all stuff you would not want to write a checkup for it manually. You can do it, but you get it for free. That's amazing.
That's very cool.
Even also mod 10 checks, so like checksum checks. Yeah, like you see how long the page is. We won't scroll down there. Yeah, that's the basic thing.
Nice.
What you get totally for free out of the box. So you can also create your own ones, additional ones, and we could have a look at that.